Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Glad to see you all online. So, listen, every year we go through the changes of when it gets cold, we start being real careful about our health and, watching what we eat. And, oh my goodness, manage those people who are going through depression, the homeless. We do a whole gamut of things because why? The holiday seasons in the fall seem to be more awakening for health and wellness. So we decided to take the opportunity to provide a program for you today, with the help of the Beaumont healthcare system. So I don't want to waste a lot of time with me, as I always tell you. So today we have Crystal Young, and she's the program manager of advanced care planning at Beaumont Hospital. And Beaumont has got a new name too. So we're going to talk to Miss Crystal Young about that. But I want you all to get your pen and paper out, because some of you who are been in the hospital, going to the hospital, you don't know what a direct advanced planning is. But I tell you what, Crystal Young is going to fill us in today. So without further ado, good morning, Crystal Young.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
I'm
My name's
good.
Crystal Young. I'm the Advanced Care Planning Program Manager for Beaumont Health, now Corewell Health East, just so everybody knows our new name. And I'm here to
Okay.
talk to you about advanced care planning.
Okay, so Crystal,
Thank you for having me.
normally, like I was saying earlier, our viewers may be inclined to know some things medical, but not all things medical. And, we reached out to Beaumont staff to ask, where can we start in educating people about services that they should be aware of, regardless if it's Beaumont Hospital or any hospital. The advanced directive planning is something that everybody should do. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into that.
Sure. So I'm a nurse by background, and I've been in the healthcare system for about 19 years. I've worked in various settings in the hospital, in the outpatient clinics. I've worked in leadership. All of those positions that I've held have brought me to understanding just how important advanced care planning is, seeing it go well and seeing it not go so well. So that's why I'm here today to really kind of tell everybody how important it is to think about who do I want to make decisions for me if I'm ever unable to, and what are some things that I need to think about for future healthcare decisions if a
Okay.
crisis ever came up.
Okay. Okay. So, what is advanced care planning?
So, advanced care planning is the process of thinking about future healthcare decisions if you had a sudden event like a car accident or an illness and could not make those decisions for yourself. So, you would need to legally designate a person ahead of time to make those decisions for you. You also need to prepare them so that way they know how to best make your treatment decisions for you.
Okay. So, now you said if a person has an accident or, has a serious illness, is it okay for a person to have advanced care planning even if they don't have a serious illness, like they're just having an operation, period?
That's a great question. This is really important for all adults. So anybody over the age of 18 should really start thinking about who is it that I want to make these decisions for me, and what are some future healthcare decisions I need to think about. This should be
Okay.
done prior to a crisis. Life
Mm-hmm.
is unpredictable, as we all know. Throughout COVID, um,
Wasn't prepared.
we weren't prepared for that,
Mm-mm.
right? So we need to be prepared for the unknown.
Okay. So, who should participate in advanced care planning?
Like I said, really anybody over the age of 18, whether
Okay.
you're sick or not sick.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we prefer, if you're healthy, you should really just start thinking, who is somebody that I want to make these decisions for me? Who is that person that I trust?
Okay.
Right. So it's one of the most important decisions that you'll make is choosing somebody to make those healthcare decisions for you. But
Because
they will not step in until you're not able to.
right. But see, like, so when you said over the age of 18, and no offense to you 18-year-olds, but 18 to 20, they're not really, inclined to understand illnesses. So do you
Correct.
think parents should really just be talking to their children in general to say, hey, if anything should happen to me and dad, this is what we want you guys to know. This is what we want you guys to do. A lot of parents feel as though I don't want my family to be burdened with my health crisis. I don't want to tell my family about my conditions. But then you leave them out, and all of a sudden you're unable to speak for yourself, and everybody's standing in the middle of the hallway, flustered, angry, and
Mhm.
placing blame.
Yep, that's exactly right. And honestly, we say that advanced care planning is a gift to your family. Having a conversation prior to a crisis, thinking about, what spiritual beliefs or cultural beliefs or personal beliefs that are important to somebody to say, these are how I want my healthcare decisions made for me if I'm not able to for myself. So that way that person's voice is the one that's coming through,
Hmm. Hmm. So
right?
how does one complete an advanced directives document?
So there's throughout the Beaumont system and now Corewell Health System, we actually have certified facilitators to help you,
Hmm.
create an advanced care plan. There are others throughout the state of Michigan that are actually available to help as well. But I would encourage everybody at the end of this podcast to really think about, who do I want to make these decisions for me?
Hmm.
And put this on their priority list, right? So
Yeah.
it's easy to push things aside, especially something like future planning. This is one of the things that you should not be waiting on.
Hmm.
You really need to designate a person to speak on your behalf. That's the minimum. Who
Okay.
is it that I want? And then let's have that conversation about what's important to them.
Okay. Now, is there room to have more than one person?
Yes, great
Okay.
question, Marcia. So everybody should have at least one person as their patient advocate. That's the person that's going to speak on your behalf. But if they're not able to, if they can't step into their role or don't want to for whatever reason, then it's good to have at least one or two backup people to do
Okay.
that.
Okay. So, what are the requirements for a legal document in Michigan?
So in the state of Michigan, you do have to have a signed document in the front of two witnesses. And
Okay.
those two witnesses cannot be your patient advocate. So they can't be the person that you're having listed on the document. They need to be somebody like a friend or a neighbor, somebody that you're not kind of affiliated with or connected with. Those are the
Okay.
best people.
Okay. Okay. Because actually, like I said before, when you are confronted with the situation and the family is not privy to know who's making the decision, some people say, well, who has the medical power of attorney? So is this document a different format from a medical power of attorney?
So the advanced directive, patient advocate designation, durable power of attorney, as long as it names a patient advocate, and DPOA for healthcare, that's the other term, that's the same interchangeable term. So in
Okay.
the state of Michigan, the term is patient advocate, and that is a legal definition. So it's really important to actually, at a minimum, legally designate someone to do that for you.
Okay. So
And
once
we
the
have,
doc, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
No. So once the document is completed, then what?
So then we would want to make sure that it's shared with your healthcare team, the
Mm-hmm.
providers, the patient advocates, or your other family members, those
Mm-hmm.
that you are also close with, but maybe not listing as your patient advocate. And then it's important to keep a copy, make sure that you have the original and your patient advocates have a copy. And if you're traveling, you should bring it with you.
Okay. So also you can actually have this form with you wherever you go once it's completed. But okay, so if I have the form completed at Beaumont/Corwell, and
Yes,
then I have a copy with me when I travel somewhere else. Then when I go somewhere else and I get sick and I end up in another hospital, that document should be presented to
correct.
the other hospital. That makes sense because a lot of times what I'm thinking, and I'm glad you clarified that, if the patient was in Beaumont when they got sick and they did their paperwork originally, but somehow they traveled to another state or they went, was in another part of town and end up in another hospital of a different, name, then they saying, well, that paper was just for Beaumont. That doesn't mean it applies here. So the
Right.
question is, does the person is it a card that the person would have, or is it a complete
So
form that
let
the
me
person?
just clarify real quick. So as far as from state to state, every state has their own requirements for their documents. Okay. Is everyone should have a properly executed document for their state. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's traveling within the state of Michigan and it meets the requirements, whether they're going to U of M hospital or somewhere up in the UP, it meets the state of Michigan requirements and that document is valid.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, that's good. Okay. So when I said when should a document be reviewed and or revised? Is there a time frame? Because if I felt this out 5 years ago, it's still on file.
Yes, so the document does not expire. However, we do encourage people to review the document every decade of their life, after the death of a loved one, after a divorce, and any significant decline in or any new diagnosis, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that as you change and as you age, you might need to reconsider some choices that you've made in the past, even if it's not just your patient advocate. As your health declines or you age, you may want to think about some new things.
Okay. So and let me ask you this. So, the advanced directive does not apply to children under the age of 18 at all.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All
Yep.
right.
So everybody over the age of 18 should really do this planning. And as you stated earlier, it's not for those that are sick or, that are older. This is
Mm-hmm.
really for anybody. And I encourage everyone that's listening today to at least consider, who do I want to make those decisions for me? Right.
Oh
And
yeah.
actually have a conversation with that person about what's important to you.
Oh
If
yeah.
they don't know, they can't honor your wishes, right?
Right.
And you need to empower them to make those choices for you. And so that way your voice is the one that's being heard,
But you know what,
right?
Crystal? Sometimes
Think about it.
people are. I mean, cut you off. I'm sorry, but people feels that when you say something about this form here, that they're on their way out. That this sounds like I'm getting ready to die, and so I need to have this done. So I think people are reluctant based on how it sounds. And the same
Right,
thing about hospice. Soon as you tell somebody's going into hospice, you're like, they're not gonna make it. So we have in our own minds associated certain words that mean certain things going towards the
right.
end. But I'm glad you're here today to clarify to people that no, this doesn't mean the end. This is a safety net to make sure
Hmm.
that your voice is
Yes.
heard in what it is that you want done in the absence that you cannot speak. I do have a form here, so I want to. Okay, so this here, advanced care planning. Okay, this document here that people can call and actually get information and, go to you guys' website.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you guys got a 947 area code, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be threatened by that area code. That's
South
people are like,
Field.
what's a 947 area code? Okay, all right. So we can use that. And so you answered some of these questions, but I know somebody's probably wanting to know, just like it has up here, what is advanced care planning? What is advanced directive? Sharing your wishes and choices. Anything on this list right here in particular, Crystal, did we need to touch on?
No, I think we actually touched on most of that, but I just want to point out too that advanced care planning puts you in the driver's seat for
Mm-hmm.
medical care. You are the
Mm-hmm.
one that is making your decisions. You're telling somebody ahead of time what's important to you in a medical crisis that you're not able to speak for yourself. I mean, think about what things would be unacceptable for you to live well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Or what are some things that are acceptable treatment or some experiences that you've had with family or friends where they weren't able to make their own decisions? A lot of people have had that experience,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yep. Been there. Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
of those things combined help build that advanced care plan and that advanced directive to tell us as the healthcare team what's most important to you and what
Mm-hmm.
matters to you.
So ideally, when a person is coming into the hospital for a procedure, are they approached with this during the conversation of before preparation, or how does one know?
Yeah, so if somebody's having a procedure, it's ideal that they would have this document in place prior to, right?
Okay.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you're going for a procedure, you may be having some medications that could potentially cause some, unawareness of your surroundings. So it's really important to have that done ahead of time. We do encourage everybody to do that, although not everybody may know of the importance of considering these types of things. So
Okay.
really, we should have this done before a procedure, before a medical crisis, and just saying, who do I want to make these decisions for me, and then having a conversation with them.
Okay. So, is there any resources available to assist with the process and the conversation?
Yes, so Beaumont Health has certified facilitators throughout the organization. So we are ready, give us a call at that 947 number and we are
Yes.
able to assist. Yep,
Yep.
we are able to assist. You can email us and visit our website, please. We have lots of really great information on there. Remember, this is a process. This is not a one-time event. You don't just fill out the document and say, okay, now I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
This is an ongoing conversation about
Mm-hmm.
what's important to you. And if it changes, we need to know.
Yeah, yeah. And it touches everyone. There's no exclusion. Everyone's touched by this. Eventually you're going to go to the hospital or be confronted with some type of condition that warrants you to seek medical attention. And
Right.
if you're not prepared, you just you're like, who's the next of kin, who's the decision maker, stuff like that, and then it just blows up in everyone's face, and it's time out. It's really time out. So I can respect the fact that this form is needed. And matter of fact, I'm gonna take care of mine because I'm the first
Good.
one. If I tell you something, if I preach the gospel, ladies and gentlemen, that means I have to do it. Okay. So I believe in that.
You're right.
Yeah, and
I
I just
have an advance directive. I
okay,
have I have a patient advocate and I
hmm
have my wishes known
and
and
that's
documented.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
So now let me ask you this: so does these documents, because we believe in diversity by all means,
Mhm.
do these documents also come in various languages? When you enter the hospital and you're a person, of a different culture, and you're like, well, I don't know anything about this. Is there crossover for language
Yes.
barriers? Okay,
So on our Beaumont Respecting Choices page, we actually have our document translated into 9 languages.
great.
And the state of Michigan also has a couple languages as well. So there's more than one version of the Advanced Directive DPOA for Healthcare document.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use any one of them. You can go onto different healthcare system sites. You can go onto the state of Michigan, or you can use our forms, and we have various languages available. And it is for everyone. Like you said, there is no definitive person who this can touch. This is for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you really need to think about who do I want to make these decisions for me, and what are those things that I want them to know about me.
Right. So, Crystal, do you think that, if I'm going to have a procedure, say, the first of the year, do I need to or should I get my paperwork in order weeks beforehand so that it'll just be
Yes.
on file? Once I go to the hospital, I can say, hey, I have advanced directive, or they're going to ask me. Is this something that the hospital asks, though, when you come in? Do you have advanced directive? Is that a normal
Yeah.
question?
Routinely, that's part of the admission process, is to ask if somebody has an advanced directive or advanced care planning documents.
Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely encourage not only having the document. I want to be clear that the document alone is not enough, right? You do need to legally designate somebody, but you need to have a conversation with those that are listed as your patient advocate about what's important to you. So
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely encourage having, a conversation 3 weeks, a month beforehand to say, this is what's important with to me, and having it with a certified facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
actually work with Respecting Choices. It's a international company that talks about advanced care planning. They have well-based knowledge on this topic.
Okay. All right. So hopefully we've taken some of the fear out of what this form means and what this form can do for a person. Because, like I said, people are so intimidated by paper. They're like, oh no, I'm not doing that. So it's
Mhm.
like I'm signing over my life. But you have to be careful who you choose as the person to
Absolutely.
be your spokesperson. You need to. I always tell my friends, I said, you don't want to tell they don't tell their children about their conditions. I said, but at some point in time, the children need to know, especially when they're over the age of 18. So if
Right.
my mom, she told us everything. So we had to know what medication she was taking, her weight, her birth date, the conditions she had, all that. So when she was laying there, in pain or whatever, I was the one that could say, my mother has A, B, C, D, this, she's taking this, and you're not going to be as equipped. Everybody's not going to be as equipped. But Grab the medicine bag if you have to. Take the medicine with you if you have to. Know what his or her condition was prior to them being unable to speak for themselves. So if
Really
it's,
great point.
prostate cancer, colon cancer, whatever, you should be able to tell the doctor what that condition was, so that when they confront it with seeing that patient, they have an idea what they're dealing with. Don't come through the door
Right.
to my, I don't know what's wrong with them, but you knew that they were sick. Okay, but I
Right.
don't know what's wrong with them. So I was educated early on, family wise, about my mom and dad's conditions, whatever it was, and my siblings were too, but I just keyed in a little more because I was the runner. I'm the one going to take you to the hospital, so I was the runner. So I really knew what I was, confronted with. Now I wanted to ask you about this form one more time, because somebody's going to be
Sure.
asking these magic questions here. Advanced care planning, to have a document uploaded to your electronic health records, use one of these three ways. That question right there, when it says to have a document uploaded to your electronic health records, is this a request from the patient that's saying, I want to make sure that this is noted for my doctors to see?
Correct. So that will go into their Epic medical record and be available to all of the Beaumont Corewell Health.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And then with the patient themselves, they would have what, a hard copy to take with them?
Yes, they should keep their original with them and make sure that their family and patient advocate and their doctors also have a copy.
Okay, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I left this up on the screen a little bit because I wanted you to see it and, jot down the numbers if you need to. Okay, the phone numbers, the email, the website, things like that. And then I'm going to bring back up Crystal's information, so you'll still be able to connect with her as well if you need to. But take a look at the fact that, you have some resources here in front of you that you can utilize, and you don't have to wait till a crisis come into play before you say, I should have did that. So Crystal, somebody can actually call you and talk to you about their paperwork.
I'm available. And, I told you earlier, Marcia, this is not about one health system. This is about you as an individual, what's important to you, what matters most to you, who do you want to make these decisions for you, and I will help anybody that wants my help.
Okay, that's wonderfully said. Truly
It's
is.
really important. I can't even tell you just in words just how important it is to consider who do I want to make these decisions for me? What is important to me? And I want to share with you too that a patient advocate should be willing to follow your decisions even if they don't agree with them,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So they really need to make sure that that you're choosing the right person, and it's okay for them to not necessarily decide the same thing for themselves as long as they're still able to do that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because me, I go off the cuff. I'm like, I don't know if she said that, So, but if it's in writing, that's what she signed for. I'm like, okay. But if I didn't know personally, I'm like, I don't think my mother would have said that. So, yeah, you're right. A person should know firsthand if they can, and see it in writing, so they can confirm that this is what the person does want, and not to sway from that. And it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot of emotions, and and that's why I said earlier, the cold seasons bring out a lot in people, especially depression, anxieties, and sickness. Period. And then we're rushing people to the hospital, and now we got a lot of situations going on with the babies and stuff. So the whole thing is, it's a holiday, and it is something else day. Okay, it's a care day. So I always try to encourage people to do right by themselves and their family members, to get what they need and do what they need to have done.
Yes. I mean, I told you earlier, I worked in the ER. I've worked in the ICU. I have seen advanced care planning work and I've seen it go well. And it always started with having the proper documentation, having the conversation where those patient advocates knew without a doubt what their family member wanted. And it reduced a lot of burden and distress in the moment. In that crisis, that's a difficult time for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to reduce as much pressure and stress as we can during that time. That is not a time to guess and wonder, did I do the right thing?
Right, right. True. Well, you said it beautifully without, doubt that the people should know what to do and how to do something for their loved ones. So, Crystal Young, I got to ask you, will you come back and join us again? I mean, you gave such a wealth of information, and I know our viewers were, just deeply touched by this program, and we want to continue to have these conversations about the care planning and any other resources that come along the way that people should know about just in general. So will you come back and join us again?
Absolutely, I would love to.
Okay, and
I would be
please
very happy to.
please tell Linda and the rest of the ladies we said hello and to
Okay.
thank you for having you join us today, and we look forward to having you back. So I'm going to bring up the information one more time so people can actually contact you guys' email address. So there's the respecting choices at beaumont.org. Okay, you have that. All right, so bear with me for 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know how I am. I mean, Crystal Young came to us today, and you can feel her passion about direct care. So hopefully, some of you all will take advantage of this information today, as well as if whatever hospital you're with, get this done and feel good about your decisions. And definitely send us questions if you have any. Okay, 1-800-323-5336, 1-800-323-5336, or definitely check us out every Wednesday morning on PBS Channel 56. And if you don't see us there, you'll catch us Facebook Live and all the rest of them on our website. I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. And what do I always say? If you have a question about a person with a disability or just a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just Ask. I'm your host. See you next time.